Okay, so in this video, I want to just add some thoughts and say a few things. Yeah, so after all the lists and all the things that I've talked about so far, um, I think um, I think I want to say one more time, like I talked about previously, about imagining all of these things visually um, as panels or cards or plates. You can imagine these cards of that can be handheld. You can imagine panels which can be of various sizes. You can imagine plates which can be metallic. They can be of various, um, yeah, made out of various metals. And you can imagine other ornate details in these metallic plates, or you can imagine them as larger panels which can be used as decor, or you can, like I said, imagine them as cards, and you can imagine these as visually in really brilliant, vivid, colored, dazzling, three-dimensional, beautiful ways, and in all um, in a way that these colors are really striking and they sort of pull you in. And like I said, these designs are three-dimensional, and maybe there's a certain, I don't know, maybe an interesting way to think would be there might be a holographic sort of layer on it, maybe not, or yeah. So that's just an extra thing that I kind of wanted to talk about with the holographic layer. And yeah, with plates and panels, I think that's an interesting way of adding artistic um, ways of decor. And again, with these panels or cards or plates, there can be imagery, and along with the imagery, there can be some, I don't know, along with it, there can be some thing that says something about what is being described in that panel. So it could be some simple text, it could be some poetic verse, it could be something that blends and nicely synergizes with the imagery that is expressing that concept or that idea. So, and I think visually, so many things can be said about the concept, whichever it is. Out of all these things, so many things that I've talked about so far, and I will continue to add more. So, so many of there are so many ways in which you can visually describe them, and I think the visual way, like I said, I like it being brilliant. I like it being vivid. I like it being three-dimensional and dazzling, and the way it sparks. And it's just like it's asking you to, it wants to draw you into its own world, and it dazzles you with that beauty and those colors. And I think that's how I would want to imagine it, in again beautiful proportions, beautiful um, harmonies that can be done, beautiful ways that various colors and shapes and forms, they can very in a very beautiful harmonious way and a very sharp way can bring you in. I think these are beautiful ways in which you can think of these panels. And I think another so yeah, there can be many ways, like I said, with various styles of cards or panels or plates. They can be imagined in various ways, whether it's handheld, whether it is um, adding to, uh, I don't know, maybe, yeah, used as a decor or any other way. Maybe these plates can be handheld. Maybe you can observe them. Maybe you can, yeah, like there are so many ways you can think of this. Hmm. So, hmm, yeah, I think a lot of how do I say this? So there's a lot of possibilities in all the various using in all the various concepts that I've talked about um, to describe and to visually um, describe these ideas and these concepts. So I just quickly wanted to talk about this aspect of the entire framework, I guess, to quickly talk about this in how, I mean, I think I've talked about it before and said how I would want to imagine this. I thought maybe I would talk about it. So yeah, that's kind of it for this video. Like I said, I will add more things to all the various lists. And another list that I want to add would be the list. This list would be architecture. Okay, and I think this would be somewhat more difficult to describe with words and without proper ways of looking at it visually. So, but just to describe one of them, I would describe this structure as this livable structure, and it's great in terms of livability and in terms of the landscape around it. And you can imagine this built in white stone, maybe, and you can imagine, or maybe not in stone, maybe it can be, yeah, but the overall, the visual color of it in the exteriors would be, and potentially also in the interiors, would be white. And I think the way all kinds of colors that are present in the spectrum of colors, they would have interesting, like, um, rings, or arrays of all the colors, and this would be a motif in all in the aesthetics of the structure. So you would see this, you would see these array of colors in various places. All the colors, you would see them in transparencies, you would see them in lights, you would see them glow, you would see them, you would be able to see a transparent through these various colors onto other things. So I think it would create an interesting look with the white structure and all of these colors, and along with the landscape. I think it would create an interesting aesthetic look for the building. And again, this theme can be continued on in the interiors, or you can have a myriad of various styles used in the interiors. So there are a lot of ways of thinking about this. I just thought I would quickly mention this one structure, and I would add this to the list of architecture on along with all the other lists. So yeah, maybe one of the concepts that can be used in this structure maybe we can use pointed arches, and maybe do something interesting with this arch. Okay, maybe think of this in some kind of a unique and amazing, innovative kind of way to imagine how we would use these pointed arches. Okay, so just quickly, I wanted to mention this one thing in this list of architecture for now. There could be so many things, so many other structures, so many other forms of architecture. Forms as in structures of architecture. Um, yeah, so many different buildings. That's what I mean. Okay, so yeah, I think that's kind of it for this video. Yeah, I think that's kind of, I've talked about enough things, and I've talked about all the panels. Again, with these panels, a lot of things can be described visually in the way I have talked about those things. You would sort of see them visually in certain ways. Like, for example, just to pick one right now, um, I would maybe talk about the arc of festivity. So in the panel, in the card, and the plate of festivity, you would maybe see a bunch of people celebrating. There are beautiful decorations. There are lights. There is that atmosphere of celebration, and you would see this visually in this beautiful aesthetic ways. There are various harmonies of colors. There is the energy that is present within those people celebrating together. So all of these things can be imagined visually, and I think it would create for some very interesting panels that you might almost feel like you feel drawn into this panel, because it's an entire world on its own. Maybe you might feel that just for a second you felt drawn into this, and you were in there, and you were present in that atmosphere, in that environment, and you almost felt like you were there just for a second, and it felt like all the things that I'd said about it previously it would make you actually felt those things while you felt like that, like you were in those panels. So I think it can visually communicate the ideas that I've talked about. I think it can visual that type of visual communication, visual way of saying something. I think it can speak in a very direct way. So yeah, I think there are a lot of ways of creating those beautiful, dazzling and sparkling ways, brilliant ways, and colorful ways of imagining these things. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. Just quickly wanted to talk about a few things. And like I said, I will talk more about more things in the next videos. Okay, so that's it for this video. Is there anything else that I wanted to say? Probably, I don't know. Whatever, maybe in the next video. Okay, so that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next videos. Okay, bye.